Hey everyone, it's Amanda with My Life, My Way. So we went and saw the doctor today. So I'm just going to give everybody like a minute or two to kind of get online. If you are watching this kind of later on, if you want to skip to the 2-minute mark, that's where I'm actually going to start talking about like what actually happened at the doctor and all that kind of stuff. The rest of it's just going to be mostly me saying hi to everybody that's coming on. And I have to show you this. This is really cute. I'm just in my car. Do you see the little bunny? Can you see him? I don't know if you can see him. There he is. I can't move my finger in connection with where the bunny is. Hey guys. I know you guys have been waiting. I didn't really have a whole lot of an update for you. So I'm going to wait till the 2-minute mark just to let everybody like get in and get on and say hi. Hi, by the way. It still kind of mind boggles me that people from as far away as Australia, which is literally as far around the world as you can get from me, Canada, actually watch this away for updates. It's kind of amazing how close technology's brought you, as long as you're willing to not let you pull it apart. So, oh my goodness. I'm glad you caught alive too. It's freezing. Where was it freezing where you are? It's like 17 degrees outside today. So, yeah. I'm just kind of like chilling out in my car. I'm from Edmonton, which is in Alberta, which is technically the western part of Canada, but I'm just east of all of the mountains, if you don't know where we are. For those of you guys that are from the States, I'm literally north of like Denver, Colorado by, I think it's like 13 hours worth of drive if I was actually gonna drive that far, and I'm not. Woohoo! Congrats for those of you guys that finally got to catch me live for the first time. It doesn't happen every time, because they're kind of sporadic. I just throw up a thing on my Instagram going, by the way, I'm going to go live, and then I just do it. So, I know you guys don't have like a huge chance, because it's not like every Friday at 3 p.m. we go live and you have like a way to get a hold of me. So, oh man. So, it's been 2 minutes. So, I think most of everybody that's going to come online is online. So, hi everybody. I haven't updated you guys since we did the ultrasound, right? So last Friday, there are people walking around my car. Hopefully they don't think I'm crazy. Yeah, it would have been 2 Fridays ago now, right? Like a week and a half ago now. We went for our ultrasound, and the ultrasound showed that we had an empty sac. And it could have been like we misread our weeks wrong and things like that. The problem is my husband's actually out of town a lot. So my husband and I sat down after I did the update and I talked to you guys and actually worked out exactly how many days he'd been gone for, and worked it out based on the very last day he'd been in town for. And the most we could have been out by is like 4 days. So we could have been exactly 7 weeks instead of 7.5 weeks, but they should have seen something, a fetal pole, anything. And basically all she saw was a big black empty sac. They're not supposed to let me see, but she wasn't quite looking in the right direction, and I snuck a look, and it's pretty classic blank open space. And she did tell me that they didn't see a baby in the sac, and that's really all the tech can tell you, other than their procedure is to come back in 2 weeks, which would have been this Friday coming up, to do a follow-up ultrasound, because sometimes people literally do just count their numbers wrong, or they ovulated way later than they thought they did, and that type of stuff happens all of the time. Unfortunately, that's just not a thing in our case this time around, because my husband hadn't been home in a certain amount of time, so it had to have been so far old, which is really unfortunate, and it really does suck. This is our second blighted ovum in a row. I called on the Monday because we did another round of HCG numbers on the Saturday after we did the test. And the HCG numbers were 22,000. 10 days before that, they were 7,000. So they're nowhere near doubling. They're nowhere near where they should be. They're like 50,000 shy where they should have been. So it's a good indication that like, this isn't going to get better. This is just going to be over. So my husband and I kind of had a bit of a cry about it. He went back to work on Tuesday. I think he had to drive out on Monday. So he was there when we got the results, and then that was it. And he had to go back to work. He actually managed to sneak home this weekend too, to spend a couple of days with me, which was really nice, but he was back at work again. So it goes. I'm dying a little. So yeah, so today I had a doctor's appointment to follow up with my actual OBG. Thanks guys, by the way. So my OBG took a look at it and she's seeing the same thing I am. There's no point in going back for a repeat ultrasound. Like, this is not the way it's supposed to be. And even if I was 6 weeks along, there should have been a fetal pole there. I had to have been at least 7. There should have been a baby in that sac. And there's just not. So she thinks the same way I did, that it was a blighted ovum. She also saw in the report that there was a subchorionic hemorrhage, which makes sense to all that gushing bleeding that I had going. So I was actually right. Actually, Danny, if you're still watching, I saw you say hi earlier. That was her call. She's a good friend of mine. She's gone through rounds of treatments and she's had a loss and she's gone through subchorionic hemorrhages and all kinds of awfulness. So she's like a wealth of information for somebody when I need them to ground me and like not get off all crazy. So it was a subchorionic hemorrhage. So good call, Danny. Unfortunately, there's no baby in the sac that's around that subchorionic hemorrhage. So yeah, so what are we doing going forward? Because the problem with any kind of miscarriage is that looking forward becomes really hard, and sometimes getting yourself to look forward and giving yourself a plan to move forward with can kind of alleviate some of that pain. At least for me, I'm very like goal oriented. Like, okay, so this step didn't work and we're just going to move down the steps. I'm on like Z 2.8 or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Like Z and plus a couple. But she said, okay, so this is our second blighted ovum in a row. This is our third miscarriage in a row. We have no live children. And she's thinking along the same way I do, that it might be a genetic problem. So I haven't talked to you about this yet. One of the people in a support group somewhere said they've also had multiple miscarriages and they had something called a balanced translocation. So if that's you and you're watching, thank you very much for that idea, by the way. It gave me something else to Google because that's how I roll. And I found a document that really explained it really well. So in basics, what a balanced translocation is, and it's a very common reason for multiple miscarriages, especially the blighted ovum kind, is that, okay, so take it back a little bit. So when I'm created in my mom, I get one chromosome from my mom, one chromosome from my dad, and then they make a little sandwich and you get 23 sandwiches, right? So I think what's happening is in a balanced translocation, what happens is somewhere along these 23 little sandwiches, one little piece from one and one little piece from another switch spots. So like one off of chromosome 14 shares with chromosome 21, and the one from chromosome 21 goes over to chromosome 14. Are you following me so far? This is really complicated. In me, if this was my body anyways, it would be okay because all of chromosome 14 and all of chromosome 21 are there. They're just in the wrong spots. But my body's capable of reading those for the most part. And most people with balanced translocations have no problems in themselves genetically. Like, they don't have any issues. There's no long-term health problems. None of that jazz. What happens when you go to have children, though, is if there's a balanced translocation in me and my husband is normal, there's a couple of different outcomes. And one of them could be that they grab the normal chromosome 14 and the normal chromosome 21 from me, and they mix with my husband's normal chromosomes, and they're good to go. Hi, other Danny. There are so many Dannys on right now. Okay, so yeah. So what happens is they could get the normal ones from both from me, and then everything's fine. You end up with a genetically happy, healthy baby. If they end up with the broken 14 and the broken 21 from me, they also end up the same way. They just end up with the same balanced translocation that I have, where all the genetic material is there. It's just kind of in the wrong spot. The other problem is when you only get one of the two broken ones. So you get either up with the broken one of 14 and the healthy one of 21, or the other way around where you get the healthy 21 and the healthy, I don't know. Anyways, you end up with one broken one, one healthy one off of the 14 and the 21. It can happen to any chromosome. I was just using those as an example. But if the baby only ends up with one of the broken and not both of the broken, then it ends up with too much of one chromosome and not enough of another. And those babies are not generally compatible with life. So you end up with blighted ovums, blighted ovums or miscarriages. If they don't get to like full term, sometimes they're lost at full term and they're stillborn, and sometimes they're born and they have a life, but because they're missing pieces of, there's an argument going on about which Danny's the best Danny. You're both best Dannys. None of that. So if they are born, sometimes they have like long-term chronic health conditions because they're missing pieces of their genetic material, and they have too many pieces of another genetic material, if that makes sense. So apparently it's a really common cause of multiple miscarriages. They don't tend to look for it if you've had only one miscarriage, because one miscarriage is really normal. It sucks. It is disappointing and it is heartbreaking, but it's normal. To get 2, you're sort of wavering on the line of normal, but now I'm on 3 miscarriages and 2 of those have been blighted ovums. So my doctor and I were both kind of talking, and she thinks that the person who came up with balanced translocations might actually be right. So they're sending me for a D&C, and they're hoping that they'll do genetic testing on the embryo. Apparently in Alberta, that's actually really hard to get a hold of. You have to like bang your fists and shout in the air and that kind of stuff in order to get chromosome testing on your embryos. In British Columbia, which is the next province to the west of me, it's a normal thing. They do it all the time. Not a problem. Alberta, I don't know what happened. We just don't do it. So my doctor's pressing for it. She's hoping we can get it done. If not, they sent me out with the blood work. I'm going to hide my personal information. But there's like a little thing right here. It says karyotypes. Do you see that? It might be backwards because I'm in the car and I'm on a cell phone. So the camera tends to switch. But they're sending me for something called karyotype testing. And karyotype testing is where they actually check you for things like balanced translocations. So they'll check me and they'll check my husband and figure out which one of us is like broken per se. And to be honest with you, that's given us a little bit of hope. Because at least if there's a balanced translocation, I know where the problem is. And my husband and I have talked about this before, long before this word even came into our lives, about like, if it takes to going to donor eggs, if it takes to go to donor sperm, actually, we don't care. It'll still be our child regardless of whether or not it's donor eggs or donor sperm or donor embryos involved. And I have more than enough friends who've gone through any of those 3 options in order to get their children. And they've bonded really well with them. Those are their children. It's not like, well, they're kind of my kids, but I'm like genetically mine. Like nobody says that. Like my half sister's my half sister, but I don't call her that either, right? She's my sister. Whatever. Yeah, so that's the answers we're going for. So even if they don't genetically test the embryo, we can at least get us genetically tested and find out if that's a thing for us and if that might be the reason that we're constantly miscarrying. One of the other common problems is like immunological disorders, which I have one of, but it's not known to cause miscarriages. But because I have an autoimmune disorder, I actually take an autoimmune medication, which actually tamps down my body's ability to fight itself, which should tamp down on the ability of my body to fight off an embryo if that's what it's trying to do. So hopefully we're coming at it from like all of the angles, I guess. She wants me to go in for D&C on Thursday because that's when she's working next. If not though, I might end up going for D&C anytime this week. We just don't know what day. We're just kind of going to roll with it. But yeah, it's been kind of a crappy week. I'm really sorry I haven't updated you guys. I just haven't felt up to like getting up and saying like, hey, you know, this is what's going on. We have no changes and it still sucks. I just didn't have the heart to get on and tell anybody. I've gotten numerous messages over YouTube and our Instagram and even over Facebook. Like, hey, is there any updates? I'm thinking about you, all kinds of stuff. I did read them. I replied to most of them. I'm super sorry if I missed you. But I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's like most of what I have to say today. Is I think there's a genetic issue. We're hoping to figure out what the genetic issue is and go from there. My Instagram handle, by the way, is getting_pregnant. So PRAGUENANT is my Instagram handle. Because we went to Prague to try for IVF and it didn't work, but whatever. And currently we're still saving up again. We're going to hopefully go back and do another round of IVF in Prague. Eliminating out the piece that we need is kind of our hope. I don't know. We'll kind of see how it goes. We're still sort of in the thinking process. Donor eggs through Europe are a lot cheaper than doing donor eggs in Canada. We priced it a little while ago because I was saying like, let's just do donor eggs maybe because I'm 34. I'm getting a little too old and they're not the good quality they used to be when I was 19. I didn't have kids at 19 either. I'm just saying they may have never been good quality. Who knows? But I was talking to my husband. I was like, I would totally hands down do donor egg if we go back to Prague again. So we did price it out. It was like $11,000 Canadian to do with the IVF and the donor eggs and all that kind of jazz. And then it just takes like a flight out there, which we have miles for, which is about like $1,800 for the 2 of us round trip. And you only need to be there for about a week and a half to do donor egg stuff, because we literally like fly out a couple of days before they do the egg retrieval. My husband gives his jazz, they do that deal, and then 5 days later they put them back in me and freeze whatever happens to be left. So that may be an option for us. To do donor eggs in Canada is way more complicated. If you can find a friend that's willing to go through the pain and the suffering of doing donor eggs for you, which sucks, guys. It's a lot of drugs. It's a lot of hormones. You feel bloated. I remember my eggs, or my embryos, by the time they got full, you could feel them like jiggling inside of your body. Because they fill you full of them. And in Canada, they actually like, they tend to give you as much drugs as they can safely get away with. Whereas in Prague, they give you as little as they can get away with to still get the eggs that they need. So there's two different sort of mentalities between the two different countries. So like, it's super inflated. They end up being super bloaty. It's super uncomfortable. And it's a lot to ask from a friend to do for you. And most of the friends that I know that would do it also suffer from infertility, and they've got bad eggs or bad parts and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, I think it was, Danny 2.0, or however we want to refer to this. They called it her baby maker was broken, and I died laughing. I thought that was the funniest thing I'd heard of. But anyways, so we're kind of looking into it. If you're gonna get a donor egg from like a donor egg bank, there is not one in Canada, so you have to go to the States. It's $18,000 to bring them in from the States. They only give you 6. They only guarantee 4 will make the shipping, and they only guarantee 1 will make it to a blastocyst phase. That's insane. So I'm kind of hoping, and my husband's kind of hoping, that it's his stuff that's broken, because it is way, way cheaper and way easier to do donor sperms than donor eggs any day. Donor sperms like $1,000 a month, I think. I know they said it was $1,000. I don't know if it's per like month that we try or what. But then it's $500 for the monitoring and $500 for the IUI and whatever the drugs cost. So it's almost a $2,000 a month deal. Or you take the drugs and find a good friend who's willing to like put his stuff into a cup, and you take a needleless syringe and put it where it should go. And hopefully nature will take its directions from there. It's like the old school way of inseminating. It's literally like a turkey baster method. Just the needleless syringes just make it easier to get where it needs to go. That's about it. Yeah, so we were pregnant. We are losing it. It's a blighted ovum. So yeah, I'm not going to repeat all the stuff that I did. I'm sorry if you just came on, you're going to have to rewatch the whole video, because I really can't do this twice. I've been like on crying jags on and off. I'm still technically pregnant, which is awful. They have me on progesterone until they can do the DNC, so that they can hopefully do the genetic testing. But because I'm on progesterone still, and because there's still HCG in my body, because I haven't technically lost this pregnancy yet, it's still in my body. Even though there's no baby in it, I'm still making HCG. It's just not as high as it should be. So I'm still getting like morning sickness. I'm still like super uncomfortable. I can't sleep at night anymore. My morning sickness is like midnight till 4 or 5 in the morning. So I like sleep like crap. I haven't been working. It's been great fun. Super good times. I have thrown up a few times. It hasn't been that many, thankfully. But I can't go work as a paramedic right now, because what are you going to do? Like, sorry for 3 or 4 hours out of my shift. I'm so uncomfortable, I don't even want to move. So I'm going to get a note from the doctor that just says, like, hey, this is what's going on. We're pregnant, but there's a miscarriage impending. We're waiting on a DNC date. And I'll be off until this many days past the DNC. And then I can give that to my boss. They're actually really great about, like, eliminating that out of the days where I need to be working for. It takes out how many days I need to be working in a month. So, because it excuses all those days from having to pick up a shift. Because I think our minimums is you have to work, that was my sister calling, I'll phone her back in a minute. But you have to work like 3 shifts in a month, averaged out over the last 6 months. So, and this will excuse however many days I've been off for. So that'll be nice. And they're really, really wonderful to talk to. And they're really empathetic when I call, which is really nice. Because there's been quite a few women around my office who've gone through IVF and donors and multiple miscarriages and all kinds of stuff, which makes them much more empathetic to talk to, and they sort of understand a little bit better. They're a little softer when they talk to you. If you break down in tears, they're actually okay with that. Super good times. yeah, so I'll let you guys know a little further as we go about like when the D&C is going to be. I find out, I think, tomorrow when they phone me back. It was too late for the clinic to phone over for a D&C today because they were running super far behind. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Danny 2.0, there's a gift on your desk. You've had a rough week. You should check your desk when you get to work tomorrow. Somebody took it. I will bring you a new one. But I left you something there. You've had a crap week too. You deserve a little bit of a relaxation phase. So, yeah, other than that, take care of yourselves, guys. I really appreciate you guys following me. I really appreciate your words of like, I don't know, support. That's the word I'm going for. Both through the pregnancy and through the potential loss and now through the loss. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of it. Even the messages I haven't responded back to, I've seen them. I've seen them come across. They come up on my phone. Sometimes I'm not capable of writing back. Sometimes I write back full of tears because that's how it works when you're pregnant. And it doesn't matter that there's no baby in the sack. Hormones, still there. And I cry pretty much constantly now. It's been good. I watched the same movies I've watched I don't know how many times before, never cried. This time around, every single one of them. It doesn't even have to be a sad moment. It's like mildly touching and there's full-blown tears going on. So, my husband's going back to work. So, it's just going to be me for the D&C this time around, which is really unfortunate. He was there for the first one, which was really, really nice. At least this time I kind of know like what I'm in for. So, I'm less sort of intimidated by this whole D&C idea. And for now I'm going to go hang out with my mom and my sister. I told them what's going on my way over to pick up my new truck. It's not a new truck. This is my actual truck. I've been in a rental for a couple of days. This one kind of like attempted to die on me and they fixed it. So perfect. But, so we're going to go down and we're just going to do salmon casserole tonight, which is like something my mom used to make every once in a while. And it's like an old school comfort food for me. So I'm pretty stoked. But yeah, I appreciate it. I love you guys. Thank you very much. And I'll try and keep you guys posted as much as I can. If you want to, follow me on Instagram. It's getting_pregnant, PRAGUENANT. If you send me messages on there, as long as you don't just say hi. Send me a message like, hey, I follow you on YouTube. Hey, I also suffer from infertility. Hey, this is my story. Started off that way. I'm totally okay with that. The reason I don't answer the ones that just say hi is because sometimes it's guys that just want to show me their inappropriate bits. And that super weirds me out. And if you start the conversation with inappropriate bits, I'm not having this conversation. We're not doing it. I don't understand why my name is like getting pregnant. So, you know, I'm trying to like get knocked up. They feel the need to send me inappropriate bits. I don't know. I don't know if they're just trying to like show me how impressive they are. I don't think guys realize that they're not attractive. I'm sorry. I'm straight. I love men. My husband most specifically of those. But they're not attractive. It's just not okay. If you want a good laugh, go watch Josh Wolf. He's on Instagram and he's got one called Dick Pics, but it's D like **** because it's YouTube and you can only do so much. But he's got one on YouTube and it's hilarious. If you've ever received inappropriate ones, it's a conversation you have with his son about them. So anyways, it makes my entire day. It at least makes me laugh. Cause sometimes you need those. But, yeah, I'm going to log out here and I will talk to you guys probably in a day or so when I figure out kind of what's going on, and we'll see you guys around. Okay, bye.